CTV News at 5 with Hudson Mack.
Well, BC's busiest hospital emergency room is going to stay closed for the next 2 weeks as the crews work to repair major flood damage done there. The emergency room at Surrey Memorial Hospital flooded when a water main burst yesterday at a construction site next door. The Fraser Health Authority says the water that flooded the ER is not contaminated, but the patients had to be moved to other facilities. A mobile medical unit has been set up nearby. The Fraser Health Authority says it's likely going to be 2 weeks at least before the Surrey ER can reopen. Meantime, repair crews have now bridged the gap to Gold River after a portion of the highway was washed out by heavy rains. Crews were burning the midnight oil to stabilize the washout, filling the large gap with gravel so that morning commuters and travelers could get across. The road reopened at about 7 o'clock this morning. The washout happened yesterday morning as a pair of RCMP officers arrived at the site. They had been called to the stretch of Highway 28 near Forbes Landing with word of flooding. Soon after they got there, the road gave way. Support staff at Vancouver Island University also walked off their jobs this morning, and that forced classes to be cancelled at all VIU campuses. Members of QP Local 1858 formed picket lines at the campuses in Nanaimo, Cowichan, Parksville, and Powell River today. This is day one of the two-day strike. The support workers say they were forced into the job action because they haven't been able to negotiate their new collective agreement.
We've got 5 colleges out that represent more than 3,000 workers. We're all having the same problem with the government, where the government will not come to the table to talk. We've all tabled final proposals. We want to talk. We want to get our collective agreements solved, and all we want is our right to free collective bargaining.
We're actively negotiating. Students are our highest priority, and we want to do whatever possible to minimize the disruption to students.
But with the semester coming to an end, the students are concerned that this is going to interfere with their studies and with their final exams.
I understand what's going on, and I understand it's frustrating for the people who are on strike as well. But on the other hand, as students, it's horrible because it's the last 2 weeks of school, which is like the most stressful of the semester.
Pretty much so close to exam time, especially like we're all math students and we need our teachers' help. Trying to learn all this on our own, it's really going to be a challenge.
The job action continues tomorrow. Normal operations at the campuses are expected to resume Thursday. Same story at North Island College campuses, where the QP support staff joined their peers up and down the island, staging the first day of a 2-day strike. Members of the faculty association there refused to cross the picket lines, so classes are cancelled till Thursday. North Island College has campuses in Campbell River, the Comox Valley, Mount Waddington, and in Port Alberni. Saanich police say dark, wet conditions were partly to blame for a crash involving a pedestrian and a taxi last night. It happened just after 5 o'clock at Burnside and Erter Urban Roads. The taxi hit a 21-year-old woman in a marked crosswalk. Police say all of the traffic had yielded to the yellow flashing lights except for the taxi.
I guess he perhaps didn't see the pedestrian or felt that maybe this was, a golden opportunity to slip through traffic, and not realizing that everybody stopped for the pedestrian, he proceeded into the intersection and clipped a young lady in the crosswalk, and causing what is felt to be fracture-like injuries to her lower leg, ankle area.
Police say it's a reminder to pedestrians and to motorists to be on the alert on these dark, wet nights. The taxi was impounded at the scene. The driver's facing a charge of failure to yield to a pedestrian. Well, people who live near the Colliery Dam in Nanaimo will have a say in what's going to happen to that piece of property. They're making a last-ditch effort to save the Harbour City landmarks. They're holding a public meeting tonight to try to come up with a plan to prevent the dam's destruction. The Colliery Dams are 100 years old. The city says they're a safety hazard and they need to be removed. The plan is to dismantle them and to fill the surrounding lakes with solid material. But people who use the area for recreation say it doesn't need to end this way.
The lakes here, the one behind us, is used all summer as a swimming area for people in the community. It's a very popular fishing area. It's a real community asset. It's part of this park. And this park is really the heart of the community. And if the lakes are drained, then what we're going to have behind us is a mud pit for several years. It's going to take the trees perhaps 50 years to regenerate into something that looks decent. And we're really ripping the heart out of this park if this is done.
The open house on the Colliery Dam's destruction is at 7 o'clock tonight at John Barsby Community School in Nanaimo. Well, municipal governments will have to take some of their own measures to control the regional deer population before the province will get involved. In a report that will go to the CRD Committee on Deer next week, a citizens advisory group proposes a range of measures be considered. They include fencing, anti-feeding bylaws, a controlled public hunt, a capture and euthanize program, even hiring professional sharpshooters. Many of those measures to control the burgeoning deer population would require provincial approval, but the municipalities will have to take some action on their own, the report says, before the province would become involved. Back in this province, RCMP officers in red serge marched through the streets of the Lower Mainland today at the funeral of Constable Adrian Oliver. The 28-year-old was remembered as brave and devoted and compassionate. Oliver was killed on duty last week when his cruiser collided with a transport truck at a Surrey intersection. Oliver's wife spoke at the funeral, saying her husband changed her life and she was proud to have known him. The cyclist who was killed in an accident in Nanaimo on Friday night has now been identified. The BC Coroner's Service says 27-year-old Jeffrey Ryan Clark sustained severe head injuries when he collided with a car on Wall Street in Nanaimo. Police say Clark was not wearing a bike helmet at the time. They also say he was wearing dark clothing and had no lights on his bike. The coroner and RCMP are investigating. A three-vehicle crash shut down a major intersection in Campbell River late this afternoon. It appears an SUV collided with a pickup truck and then with another smaller SUV. The larger sport vehicle ended up on its side, sandwiched between the other two. It happened late today at Dogwood and 16th in Campbell River. Despite how bad it looks, it doesn't appear anyone was seriously injured in the crash. CUPE members who are support staff also hit the picket lines today at North Island College, and that shut down classes at all of its campuses. Support staff there are also taking part in the two-day strike. Members of the Faculty Association refused to cross the picket line. Like other CUPE locals at post-secondary institutions across the province, the local representing the workers at NIC has been unable to reach a new collective agreement that will satisfy both sides.
We wish we weren't impacting the students. We wish that the government would have taken this more seriously and understand what it's doing to students and giving the ability to our employers to bargain fair collective agreements with us.
We're just really looking for resolution. We have a very good relationship with our CUPE local and our support staff. They're an integral part of our operations. We don't operate without them. And we just really want a resolution. So we're hopeful that we will get back to the bargaining table and we'll be able to come to some sort of resolution.
The strike action will continue tomorrow with regular operations expected to resume Thursday. North Island College has campuses in Campbell River, the Comox Valley, Mount Waddington, and Port Alberni. And tensions were running high at the Camosun College campus, the interurban campus in Saanich today. Striking support staff there blocked some vehicles from entering the property as Saanich police looked on. More than 600 CUPE members and Local 2081 walked off their jobs at Camosun, canceling about 30% of the college classes at both campuses today. The college expects the same thing to happen again tomorrow. The city of Nanaimo is partnering with North Saanich to appeal a property tax adjustment on the Lower Mainland. The BC Assessment Board reduced the value of the Horseshoe Bay Ferry Terminal from $47 million to just $20. The decision came after BC Ferries argued that the property was nearly worthless on the open market because its use is restricted to being a ferry terminal only. West Vancouver will see a major loss in property tax revenue as a result. Nanaimo and North Saanich fear that the same thing may happen to them, so they're appealing the ruling, even though it does not directly affect their communities. Well, the Vancouver Island University Foundation is setting an ambitious goal to raise a record $150,000 this year at the annual Festival of Trees. It's the 18th year for the festival, which includes a series of events built around the Holiday Tree Showcase, culminating with a black tie gala on November 30th. The Festival of Trees raises money to support VIU students through bursaries and scholarships, and it helps to fund improvements to classrooms and university facilities.
Currently we have 35 trees to date. We might get a few more as a result. We usually average somewhere between 30 and 40 trees on display, and this year we set out a community challenge where businesses got together and their staffs created the trees and then donated them, and then this year we're going to raffle them off. In past years we've auctioned them, so we're trying a little different model on how to raise money this year with you can come down, pay $2, put an entry into the box of the tree that you like, and maybe for $2 you might have yourself a magnificent Christmas tree.
The festival runs until the end of the month. It's at the Conference Centre in downtown Nanaimo. Last year, more than 3,000 people took part, raising $85,000.